Welcome to my NBA Mock Draft 4.0. Now, I made a couple of mistakes on this mock draft, so I had to kind of edit the last part out of it. Kind of make some changes. So, those of you that were on the first time and are back, thank you for coming back. So, before I begin, let me just say I'm going to put in the description box a couple of things. One, this list of the mock drafts, if you just want to kind of go through it because you don't want to watch the whole entire live stream, then that's completely okay. And I'm going to put also in there the links of all my other mock drafts to kind of see how they've evolved over time. And I'm also going to put the links of my previous videos to kind of introduce my channel a bit for the people that are new, that have never seen me before. I don't talk about just basketball or football or hockey. I kind of go all over the place. So you see kind of the different things I talk about. And especially the one last night about my playoffs recap, I think that was a really good one. So you might want to check that one out as well, in particular. So with the first overall pick, I have the Celtics going with Markelle, Fultz, point guard of Washington. Number 2, the Lakers going with Lonzo Ball, point guard of UCLA. Now those two are kind of the obvious picks right now. So the draft doesn't really begin until pick 3 of the 76ers. By the way, if you're on the live chat and you want to kind of send in some questions, we're gonna take questions at the end so we don't kind of get off track like we did last time. And we don't get off topic. So leave your question in the live chat and I'll get to them at the end, right after we're done with this. And I'm going to stop after we get to the end of the lottery. Number 3, I had the 76ers going with Jayson Tatum out of Duke. Number 4, I had the Suns going with Josh Jackson out of Kansas. Number 5, I have the Kings going with De'Aaron Fox out of Kentucky. Number 6, I have the Magic going with Dennis Smith Jr. out of NC State. Number 7, I have the Timberwolves going with Jonathan Isaac, power forward out of Florida State. Number 8, I have the Knicks going with Frank and Ntilikina, point guard out of France. Number 9, I have the Mavericks going with Lauri Markkanen, power forward out of Arizona. Number 10, I have the Kings going with Zach Collins out of Gonzaga. Number 11, I have the Hornets going with Malik Monk out of Kentucky. Number 12, I have the Pistons with OG Anunoby, forward out of Indiana. Number 13, I have the Nuggets with John Collins out of Wake Forest. And number 14, to wrap up the lottery picks, I have the Heat going with Donovan Mitchell, shooting guard out of Louisville. So let's kind of start off with the picks that stick out to me in the lottery, or what should stick out. Number 3, with the 76ers going with Jayson Tatum. That's when the real draft begins. Because the 76ers can do so many different things with this third pick. Trade it, take Tatum or Josh Jackson, take De'Aaron Fox. So there's a couple different options the 76ers have at pick number 3. So when we get to draft night, I'm going to say this again in the final mock draft, or at any point leading up to the mock draft, I'm going to say the 76ers will be the team to keep an eye on draft night. Number 5, the Kings go with De'Aaron Fox. Now, the Kings are either going to take De'Aaron Fox, or they're going to take the best thing available at that time. Like maybe the Sixers go with Fox. If that happens, I say the Kings will go with whoever the Suns don't go with between Jayson Tatum or Josh Jackson. So if it goes Fultz, Ball, Fox, the Suns are either going to take Tatum or Jackson, and the Kings will just take whichever one they don't take. So the Kings, whatever they do is going to depend on what happens in front of them. Number 6, the Magic going with Dennis Smith Jr. Now, there was a comment in 2.0 where the Magic's prospect that they really want is Dennis Smith Jr., and that's their main focus. Number 9, the Mavericks going with Lauri Markkanen. And 8 as well, going with Frank Ntilikina. Those two stick out as well because the Knicks need a point guard that has the ability to play defense. And the Mavericks, they kind of need some size and depth. Number 10, the Kings going with Zach Collins. I feel like that's the point where they have to go with a center. But Zach Collins is kind of more of a power forward at Gonzaga than he was a center because he was behind Karnowski this past season. So I feel like Zach Collins could have benefited from another year at Gonzaga. But I do feel like if the Kings don't go with Zach Collins, they might take somebody like maybe Jared Allen. Maybe the Kings will trade down, since if the Mavericks or Knicks end up stealing Zach Collins, which I don't think that's happening at this point, I could see the Kings trying to make an effort to trade that 10th overall pick. Because the Kings need a center after trading DeMarcus Cousins to the Pelicans. Number 14, the Heat going with Donovan Mitchell. I've seen mock drafts where they say they're going with Luke Kennard. I've seen several mock drafts with Donovan Mitchell outside the first round. I've seen him in the 20s. I've seen him in the late teens. So let's go to after the lottery. Number 15, I had the Trailblazers going with Justin Jackson out of North Carolina. 16, the Bulls going with Jared Allen, center out of Texas. 17, I had the Bucks going with Ike Anigbo, center out of UCLA. 18, I had the Pacers going with Justin Patton, center out of Creighton. Number 19, I had the Hawks going with Jordan Bell out of Oregon. I'll get to him in a second. Number 20, I had the Trailblazers with Luke Kennard, shooting guard out of Duke. So in picks 15 to 20, the one in particular that sticks out to me, there's two that stick out to me. Justin Jackson at 15 to the Trailblazers, and 19 with the Hawks, going with Jordan Bell. Now, Justin Jackson, he's one of those prospects that I enjoy. He's not a one and done. He's somebody that was willing to stay at least 3 seasons to work on his game. But I feel like he could have benefited from staying at his senior season. I feel like he should have stayed. I feel like it was a possibility that he could have been easily a top 10 pick if he had returned to school. Because Justin Jackson's a great shooter. And he did well in tournament games. But I was having a conversation with one of my fellow subscribers, and he said, what has Justin Jackson done that's actually good? Did Justin Jackson just benefit from being on a championship team like North Carolina? Because I feel like if Justin Jackson went to a small school, like if he went to... Oh, it was probably JG. That he feels like Jack is slightly overrated. Justin Jackson, right? Because I'm kind of saying that if Justin Jackson went to a school, like let's just say he went to like a group of 5 school or like a non-power conference in college basketball, I feel like we're not even talking about him being potentially a lottery pick at all. I'll kind of talk about that a little bit at the end. At number 19, the Hawks going with Jordan Bell. I feel like Jordan Bell has been the most moving forward prospect. Like when the mock draft season first started, Jordan Bell wasn't projected to go in the first round. And now he's projected all the way at 19 in my mock draft, the Atlanta Hawks. I think this would be a smart pick. But maybe they might go with Harry Giles if he happens to fall at 19, which I have Harry Giles falling in this mock draft. But I feel like Jordan Bell is the best defensive player in this whole entire draft class. I just feel like he's the most talented defensive player. With his ability to block shots, his quick reaction to the ball. I feel like this would be a great replacement for Paul Millsap if he happens to opt out of his contract with the Hawks and sign with a different team. Because I do think that Paul Millsap may not be on the Hawks next season. Number 21, I have the Thunder going with Harry Giles out of Duke. 22, I have the Nets going with Dwayne Bacon out of Florida State. 23, TJ Leaf going to the Raptors. 24, the Jazz going with Tyler Lydon out of Syracuse. 25, I have the Magic going with Semi Ajoli out of SMU. Now, all of these stick out. All picks 21 to 25 stick out. And with Harry Giles, I'm just gonna jump to the comment from JG that says Harry Giles could be the worst pick or the worst, but depending on injuries. Yes, that is exactly why I put Harry Giles at this spot. Because I don't think the lottery teams are going to risk the pick on Harry Giles. I just don't see that happening. I feel like the teams that are always going to be in playoff contention next year, like the Thunder, the Pacers, the Hawks, could take a chance on Harry Giles. I don't see Harry Giles going to the lottery at all. It's based off the injuries. So that's why I have Harry Giles dropping so low. '22, Dwayne Bacon. Now, he has lottery talent. So I think the Nets will get a steal at this point in Dwayne Bacon 22. Because the Nets, they just need to find franchise changers right away. Because they are still paying for that, by that horrendous trade that ruined their franchise to get the Celtics number 1 overall pick. 23, the Raptors with TJ Leaf. I feel like the Raptors have definitely used some size of it. But maybe they might go with the point guard, or they might try to trade up with maybe a lottery team if Kyle Lowry doesn't, if he has a new team by draft night. So the Raptors could be another team to watch out for. 24, the Jazz with Tyler Lydon. Tyler Lydon's been in the late first round in all the mock drafts so far. I feel like that's a perfect spot for him. '25, the Magic with Semi Ajoli. Now, this is a great selection. He wasn't even projected to be in the first. He's not projected to be in the first round. A lot of mock drafts I've seen, but I feel like the Magic are getting some talent at him at 25. Because he may have only played 1 year at SMU, but he's a really talented player. Now on to 26 to 30. 26 the Trailblazers go with Azanzis Pazanix. 27 the Nets go with Terrence Ferguson. 28 out of the Lakers with Bam Adebayo, center out of Kentucky. 29 out of the Spurs go with Kyle Kuzma. And 30 out of the Jazz go with Josh Hart. Let's talk about these 5 picks. Azanzis Pazanix wasn't projected to be in the first round. But he has an impressive pro day. He's got great size ability. He's got height. He's got all these great measurements. That I feel like maybe on draft night, maybe his lottery team takes a chance on him. Because last year's lottery was kind of shocking. '27, the Nets going Terrence Ferguson. Now, UFC as MMA has really commented on, because if he was on here, he would be just really on me about why I had him dropping this far. But I feel like the Nets get a steal as well. The goal for the Nets right now is to get some steals. Maybe the Nets try to trade up for Pazanix, because they need to take that chance. They got to take a gamble. They got to get back to building a successful franchise. 28 the Lakers with Bam Adebayo. They need to just find some depth. They just needed to find it really badly. 29 the Spurs with Kyle Kuzma. Some people say he's got lottery talent. I feel like he may fit into Greg Popovich's system. Maybe they're going to take a shooting guard, or they're probably going to take a shooting guard in the second round. So maybe Josh Hart could be at 29 for the Spurs. But I don't know if the Spurs want to take a chance on Josh Hart at 29. Maybe if Josh Hart doesn't get taken by the Jazz at 30 like I have it, maybe if he happens to still be available, the Spurs might take a chance on him. And 30, Josh Hart. Josh Hart's my favorite player in this draft class. Stayed for all 4 years. Game changer. Won a national championship. Ability to change the game on offense or defense. If you want to look for good Josh Hart tape, look up the Villanova versus Notre Dame game from this past December. You're going to just find some great highlights of him. Now that we have finished the mock draft, let's get to some questions. Let's get to the questions we asked. We've got Brian S. Who do you think are the most underrated prospects in the draft? The ones that really stick out to me right now, Jordan Bell, Azanzis Pasniks, Kuzma and Hart. Those are the ones that, maybe even Ferguson as well, and maybe Frank Ntilikina. Those ones are going to be the ones that I really look forward to seeing. But as far as guys that could be second round guys, Juwan Evans out of Oklahoma State, that's a talented guy. DJ Wilson out of Michigan, talented player. Alec Peters from Valparaiso. Dylan Brooks out of Oregon. There's so many guys in the second round that have talents. And Derek Walton as well, also from Michigan. To watch Walton and DJ Wilson toward the later stage, like the Big Ten tournament and March Madness, it was really exciting to watch because they really step up their game. So if you want to watch good Derek Walton and DJ Wilson highlights, you would look from the Big Ten tournament to their heartbreaking loss in Sweet 16 to Oregon. Derek Walton's got great leadership skills, and so does DJ Wilson. And let's also not forget Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig from Wisconsin as well. Those are also great talented players. Nigel Hayes just has to work on his free throws a little bit. Bronson Koenig, a really good three-point shooter. I hope a team drafts those two players as well. Brian also says Nets should go for Frank Mason. Why is he a mid to late second rounder in most mocks? Here's exactly why. It's because they think Frank Mason doesn't have the size. He's only 5'9" or 5'10". That's what I think his height is. That's why he's barely on draft boards. Frank Mason's going to get drafted. I will be extremely shocked if Frank Mason does not get drafted on draft night. Because Frank Mason may be small. But he can shoot the basketball, and he's one of those guys that stayed all 4 years. One of my favorite type of prospects, the ones that stay all 4 years. And for as long as we talk about mock drafts this year or whenever, I'm always going to hit hard on the non-one and dones, the one that stay for their junior or senior years. Those are the ones I'm going to like more and show more bias towards. So that's why Frank Mason, in most mocks, is mid to late second round or undrafted. Shamil Garla, if Harry Giles slips the Nets, they should jump on him. Yes, kind of what we covered. Kind of what JG said as well, that Harry Giles could be the best pick or the worst pick depending on the injuries. So if he falls to the Nets at 22, they got to take a chance because the Nets got nothing to lose at this point. The Nets have already lost enough. They can't lose any more. So the Nets got to take the gamble if Harry Giles is still available at number 22. Okay, Sam McBuckets. I'm guessing this is on Azanzis Pacnics. The dude is 7'2" and can be super good or a total bust. Exactly. I think that's exactly what it's going to be. But you got to at least take a gamble on him. If he doesn't go in the first round, he's going to at least be taken within the first 3 or 4 picks of the second round. There's just no way you let him fall that far. Samuel Buckets also says Josh Hart is a good player, but I don't know if he has much upside. It may not just be about upside, but what I was saying is if you want to look for good Josh Hart tapes, look in the games where Villanova played in tight games like Notre Dame. Even go to the Wisconsin tape in the round of 32 when they lost. Josh Hart was the best player on that Villanova team that day. JG says we see it a lot where All-America college players like Hart and Mason never adapt. Yeah, because it's all the one-and-done process. Because if you look at where this mock draft was, Fultz, Ball, Tatum, Jackson, Fox, Smith Jr., Isaac, Markkanen, Collins, Monk. One-and-dones. Because NBA GMs favor the one-and-dones more than the players that stay for 3 or 4 years. Why? Because there's major year difference. Because they want to save it a max 2 or 3, 4 years maybe by drafting a one and done compared to somebody that stayed for all 4 years to work on their game. That's just how it works, and that's how it's always been. And it's unfortunate to continue that way for as long as they have this until they don't allow the one and done anymore. Sammy Buggers, the Hawks can get Evans at 31, I'll be happy. Yeah, Evans has got first round talent for somebody of his caliber. Where do I stand on Jared Allen and Justin Patton? I feel like they both could have benefited from another year because Justin Patton, his game went down in the second half of the season when Maurice Watson Jr. went down. So I feel like he could have benefited from another year at Creighton. And Jared Allen, I think he's a great prospect. I think he's probably the most underrated center in this draft class. But another one of the one and dones. Like the one and dones are the unpredictable. We don't know about all the one and dones, how well they're going to do, until they're actually in the NBA. Because I had Jared Allen I had him in the lottery up until this mock draft. So things can change. Alright, so we're kind of off topic a little bit, but we'll talk about this real quick. JG, I thought of an interesting scenario. What if Cleveland trades Love for Amir Johnson and the Celtics pick and drafted Josh Jackson? I did have Josh Jackson went number 1 to Boston in the first mock draft I did. But I feel like Josh Jackson needs to work on his shooting a bit. He's not the best shooter in this draft class. And there's no way that Cleveland's trading Kevin Love. They need Kevin Love for rebounding. Because if they trade Kevin Love, the only person they have to rebound for them on a regular basis is Tristan Thompson. So, no way the Cavaliers are going to trade Kevin Love. You heard it here first. Not happening. Let's see. Do you think Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving getting traded? No. That's from BevoNet 910. No, not gonna happen. Philip Gaddy, do you think LeBron might go to the Lakers? No. Brian, I think there's a chance there's a love for point guard trade. Obviously, the Cavs would need to go more for him, though. Maybe they go for Melo. Like I just said, I don't think Kevin Love's getting traded at all because they need him for rebounding. He's their best rebounder on the team. I mean, back when he was in Minnesota, he was averaging a double-double a night. So it'd be a bad move for the Cavaliers to trade Kevin Love. And if they were going to trade for Melo, they would have done that at the trade deadline last year. So I just don't see that happening. Wilson Breckrich, the D-League is getting filled up with a lot of these one-and-dones, and it's too bad because these kids are getting bad advice from people around them. Yeah, I mean, the D-League is not too bad, though, but that's where most players start off in the D-League. There's been several times where players start off in the D-League. Stephen Brosi, who do you think the 76ers take at number 3? Like I've been saying since the top of the live stream, the real NBA draft doesn't start till the 76ers are on the clock because there's so many options. Just like I said, the 76ers will be the number 1 team to keep an eye on when it comes to draft night because there's so many different things they can do with this pick. JG, I don't think Lauri Markkanen will be better than Ryan Anderson or Channing Frye. It's not about being better than who. Sometimes it's better than getting into the league. Like when the Golden State Warriors went with Steph Curry, pick number 8. Everybody thought he was too small. Everyone thought he was too short. Even they were thinking he wouldn't even be a top 10 pick, and now he's a 2-time NBA champion now. So I don't judge really quickly on prospects on why they're going to be a bust or will they be. I don't focus on who's going to be a bust because sometimes it just depends on going into the right team, finding the right coaches, teammates around you, teammate chemistry. There's different factors that determine of making a rising star or a bust in the NBA. Brian, I heard the Kings may offer their 5th and 10th for the 3rd and draft Fox. That sounds pretty perfect for Philly. They get Monk and someone else with the 10th. But the deal is, though, if the Kings wanted to really trade picks 5 and 10 for De'Aaron Fox, they would have to know for a fact that the 76ers are even on the De'Aaron Fox radar. Because I don't even think at all that De'Aaron Fox is on the 76ers radar because the 76ers have clearly come out and said that they're going to utilize Ben Simmons in the point guard position. So I don't think there's any way that De'Aaron Fox is on the 76ers radar. So the Kings are better off just waiting it out. Because I don't think there's no way the Suns take De'Aaron Fox either. So I think the Kings are fine not to trade anything to get De'Aaron Fox. Philip Gaddy, I really enjoyed Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Yeah, but if you look at my NBA playoff recap video, the first 30 seconds kind of sums it up quickly. Like I talk about how all the NBA playoff games were played. I kind of go into that and what the future of the NBA is going to be and what the trends are going to be like. Wilson Breckrich, you think the Cavs will get rid of Channing Frye, Richard Jefferson, and Derek Williams? I feel like Richard Jefferson might indeed retire, I believe. I could see that happening. Or Richard Jefferson only plays for one more season. But anything is possible at this point. It depends on what the Cavs get in return. Like, do they send over those scrubs to maybe get somebody that can help them win now? JG, could Jayson Tatum play shooting guard? I feel like Jayson Tatum kind of acts more like a shooting guard at Duke. But if you look at all the shooting guards that Duke had last year, Luke Kennard and Grayson Allen, who's going to be a pick? Who's going to be a first-round pick next year? No question about it. So we didn't really get to see Jayson Tatum play much of a shooting guard role because Duke had such good depth at the shooting guard position with Luke Kennard and Grayson Allen. So if he does play good shooting guard in the NBA, it's because we couldn't see it in college. Whatever to watch, how many more years will it be Cavs versus Warriors? Probably at least until LeBron hangs it up, until Steph Curry hangs it up, until Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson hang it up. So we're looking at about a maximum about maybe 4 to 7 years of it being Cavs versus Warriors. Maybe we might get an outlier season. Maybe we'll get the Spurs in the finals one year. Maybe we'll get the Boston Celtics in there one year. But of course we can't jump to conclusion so quickly because it could take just one injury or one pickup at the trade deadline to change everything. Like I kind of said in the NBA playoff recap video, the trends of a super team. That's what it's going to be like. Bevonet 910. Would Chris Paul be a good fit for the Spurs? I think it'd be an okay fit, but I feel like Kyle Lowry would fit into that system better. Philip Gaddy, I agree with you. I hope it's not Cavs versus Warriors every year. I'm a Warriors fan, but I want to see anything coming in. Yes, kind of I feel like the NBA is being ruined away because we're seeing the predictability. I also talk about that in the playoff recap video. It's only 3.5 minutes, but there's a lot of good points to it. So if you watch, you won't be disappointed. Anyway, before we wrap it up, is there any final question? I'm going to give it about 30 seconds. Starting right now. 30 more seconds to answer some questions, or else we're going to wrap it up. Whatever to watch, should Paul George lead the Pacers? If he wants to win a championship, yes. If he wants money with a contract extension, no. Because Paul George could be somebody that wants a ring as well. Kyle Lowry has come out and said that he just wants a ring and that's all he wants. Kind of like what Kevin Durant wanted. JG, the Bucks look like a future super team. They are a team on the rise with the Greek freak Jabari Parker. Those are just leading into a super team. I did have a comment in last night's playoff recap video. It was from Global Sports Commentator. He was talking about that the Bucks could be a future super team because they've got players on the rise. And he also stuck out with the 2014 NBA draft. I think it was actually 2013, excuse me. Whichever draft class the Greek crew came out of, he was talking about, he was the only player from that draft class that looked like a future NBA star. Brian asked, what are the odds Suns draft Josh Jackson? If he's still available at 4, 100%. JG, could IMG Academy beat some major college teams? I'm unfamiliar with it, but I'm guessing it's a high school team, which I think maybe they could beat maybe the bottom feeders of college teams. They're not going to beat a team like Kentucky or Duke because they run different systems than they do in the high school game. Tyler Wolf, any trades the Celtics will do with the number 1 pick? I did a should the Boston Celtics trade the number 1 pick. I'm going to put the link in the description of that video in the description box below. You can take a look at that. I made some good points and I put some pros and cons for trading it and keeping that number 1 pick. Whatever to watch, maybe Chris Paul can join the Rockets. Well, if anybody would make a super team in the Western Conference, it could be the Rockets. Maybe build around James Harden. Maybe make an effort to sign Lauri or Chris Paul. or even Blake Griffin, maybe try to form a super team in the Western Conference. Because like I've been saying for like the last 5 to 7 minutes, the trend's going to be about super teams. Philip Gadd, are you excited for college football? Yes, I hope that it's not as predictable as it kind of was last season. I hope we kind of see some parity. Brian Copper. Summer League you weren't in the regular season. Now that is the cousin I know. Brian, I think they're more likely to trade IT than the pick. There was a comment from the should the Boston Celtics trade the number 1 pick video for the video I did, and they could possibly trade Isaiah. They were saying trade Isaiah Thomas and the pick to the Wizards for John Wall. So that could be interesting. Boston could set up a super team themselves now. Like I said, it's going to be super team, super team, super team. That's all you're going to hear talking about in the NBA the next 3 years. And that's kind of sad how you're going to look at it. Because this generation, the NBA, it's just all about the super team. Anyway, I've got to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. But first, let's read this from Tyler Wolf. That wouldn't happen. It's not that easy to trade superstars like that. Exactly. Like, maybe the Celtics could trade their number 1 pick for a win-now type of person. Whatever to watch, Hawks aren't getting a super team unless any miracles happen. Exactly. Like, the team that won 60 games, like the Hawks won 60 games just a few years ago. That team's just disbanded. Jeff Teague's on the Pacers. Kyle Korver's on the Cavs. Paul Millsap might not be on the Hawks next year. The team that won those 60-plus games, no longer in existence. That's exactly why the Atlanta Hawks fired the GM Wes Wilcox. Anyway, I've got to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe and share. I will see you next time. Have a great night, everybody. See you next time.